Alright, today's gonna be a guide on how to complete the daily leaks, which is the preps and also the finale for the DRE contract. Rockstar is giving out double the amount of money this week, which means you're getting a total of $2 million for completing the finale, which overall shouldn't take more than 2 hours, and it's actually a really fun and easy way to make money in GTA Online. Now, if you're watching this video after this event week has passed already, this is still useful to you since I'm going over all the preps, which will remain the same, of course, as well also the finale. So if you need help with anything, of course, definitely watch the whole video through. And of course, if you do enjoy it at any point or find it helpful, subscribe and put up post notifications. Now, wasting any time though, get over to the Dynasty Executive website. If you don't already have an agency, there is 4 different locations to choose from. You have Little Seoul, Rockford Hills, Vespucci Canals, and of course, Hallwick. Honestly, locations don't really matter that much when it comes to the agency, since pretty much most of the activities take place in the city, as well as the fact that they're all near each other as well. I'd probably avoid going for Little Seoul, but compared to the other ones, I think they're all pretty much similar. The most expensive one is Hallwick, so if you want to go for that, check that out. But another good one as well is, of course, going to be Vespucci Canals. But up to you, of course. Overall, most of them are around the same price, and specifically for this week, it is on discounts. And when it comes to the upgrades, you have different options such as the art, which is of course up to you, as well as the wallpaper and highlight. Same thing if you want different colors for your walls, or you want to add specific pictures to your wall. That's all up to you. Now we also of course have the armory, which is going to be basically having your own ammunition inside of your agency, which I would highly recommend getting since it's extremely useful. You don't have to travel, back and forth to ammunitions. You just have everything right here, as well as just kind of cool to just have your own armory, or I guess ammunition, with you at all times in a way. Accommodation, which is also not really the most important, but if you do want to end up spawning here, you're going to have to purchase this, and it's actually a really huge area to kind of have for clothing, or even just laying down, whatever. So it's actually something I do recommend getting. And then of course the vehicle workshop as well. This one is very important considering the fact that this is the only way that you can get access to a mining tech, which gives you access to a remote control your vehicle, or if of course you want to have the missile lock-on jammer, which makes it so that people cannot lock onto you for specific vehicles, as well as just other armor upgrades that you can add on. This is the one I highly recommend compared to any of the other ones. So if you do end up purchasing an agency, if you don't already have one, this is definitely one I recommend going for first, and then make your way down the other ones if you want to get those as well. So of course, once you have an agency, you can get started with the cutscenes and getting into all that. I'm pretty sure people already have done this. This contract DLC has been out since 2021, so it's been a few years now, and I'm pretty sure people are used to it at this point. So once you get through all that, you have like 2 of the first preps that you have to do only one time, which is going to be the meet, which basically has you going over to the country club and just having kind of a little chat with Franklin, as well as just kind of getting used to how the contract stuff is going to work. And then you also have the other one, which is going to be data recovery, which has you infiltrating the FIB headquarters. So obviously, again, people have probably done this already, so it's just I don't really have to go over this, but overall it's really simple and straightforward as well anyways. Now, before we get into the main preps, I highly recommend having a fast vehicle, or at least a flying vehicle. You can use the MK2 for most of the preps as well, or if you just want to use a helicopter such as the Sparrow, or just like a fast supercar, because obviously you want to get this done quickly. And something else to know is that when it comes to these preps, they basically have like 2 mini preps and like kind of a finale in a way, but it's really still considered as a prep. And then you have basically 3 separate sets of these in a way. So you have the Nightlife League, the High Society League, and then the South Central League, and then you basically have the finale after that. So starting off with the Nightlife League, the first prep is called the Nightclub. This one has you going to a nightclub around Los Angeles and looking for the security tape. Now for these preps, at least for this one, you actually can choose if you want to do this stealthy or aggressive. I recommend just doing aggressive. It just gets it done a lot more faster. So just take out any of the enemies. I recommend using an auto shotgun, or if you even want to use an AR, take them out really quickly. Usually there's around maybe like 10 to 20 of them around the nightclub, and the security tape should be like in the main office of the nightclub. If you have a nightclub, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It's like in the back part. Overall, just kind of follow the path that Rockstar kind of gives you, and it should be there. If it's not there, check around near it, because Rockstar probably has different spawn locations when it comes to the security tape. And anyways, overall, there should be like around maybe like 2 more enemies that spawn in. You take them out, and then you're literally done. With that, you just gotta take it straight back to the agency, and if you have one that's nearby, which most of them are anyways, it's literally just gonna be down the street, like in my case, and then you're already done with the prep. The next one is called the Marina, and it has you looking for a speedboat. There's gonna be like 2 enemies here. You could just take them out, or really just avoid them. They're not really that annoying. So once you end up getting it, you just gotta head over to the yacht, which is gonna be a bit farther from Los Angeles. It's kind of just more out, but nothing too crazy. Once you end up getting to the yacht, just hop off. And again, this is another prep that you could choose to do, whether stealth, or of course if you want to do aggressive. Again, aggressive usually is the way anyways. So there's not that many enemies on this anyways, maybe like a total of like 10. So once you end up going there, it's going to prompt you to end up going to one of the doors. it's going to be locked anyway. So this is where you got to make your way up from the yacht. Again, not too crazy with the amount of enemies. You take them out and it has you going to the bridge. So once you get to the bridge, there should be a few enemies inside there as well. From there, I recommend disabling the air defenses to make it easier, as well as of course also locating the door controls, which is going to be on the other side. Once you take that, you know, obviously it will be done. You can go back to the main cabin doors that we were at earlier. No enemies should be spawning in at this point really. And then once you're in the main cabin, you just gotta look for the evidence. Now, this obviously is going to have different, you know, spawn locations most of the time, but overall, once you go through some of the rooms, you know, obviously watch out because there's enemies that's going to be down there. But again, it's not going to be too crazy, maybe like one enemy per room. Sometimes they don't have any as well. So once you go through most of the rooms, once you get to like the back part, look for just like, you know, a table or something. That's where it's usually on. In this case for me, it's like one of the like nightstands in the back, and from there you just got to go near it. It's gonna obviously prompt you, take a picture of it, and you're actually really just done with this. So you just got to head over to the top part, and you may have noticed earlier there's a helicopter there, so I recommend just hopping into that, and of course, you know, leaving if you want to. Of course, you could end up, you know, taking a jet ski or a boat. It's really up to you, but I do recommend just taking a helicopter. It's the fastest way to get to land, of course. And from there, obviously, if you do have any enemies, such as the helicopters, you could take those out as well. Make that, you know, a little bit more easier for you. And from there, you just gotta leave the area. There's nothing to drop off. And, you know, also another tip that I want to say is that if you have the accommodation area where you could spawn into the agency, this is the point where you probably just want to switch sessions and just make it a lot more faster instead of going all the way back to the agency and, you know, going on to the next one. And then for the Nightlife leak itself, it has you go into the music locker. From there, you have to go to one of the penthouses, walk all the way to the back, and you're going to find the promoter. He's going to be the one that has the laptop, of course. From there, once you try to steal it, there's going to be a whole cutscene that breaks out, and then of course there's going to be a bunch of enemies. Overall, again, not that many. We take them out, and after that you just have to exit the penthouse and go to the elevator, and from there you just got to call the elevator down. You'll be going over to the VIP area, which is where exactly the promoter is going to be. So you just got to basically chase them down. Again, a few enemies are going to be spawning throughout, but again, if you just take your time with it, though, sometimes you do want to take cover because a swarm of them do just come out of nowhere. So you just got to watch out. But overall, again, it's not a crazy amount to the point where you have to, you know, stay back a little bit. So once you take out most of the enemies, again, head down to the VIP area. That's where the promoter is going to be at. You just got to steal a laptop, and then you just got to leave the music locker. To leave it, just go through, you know, basically the back, or I guess the main entrance in a way, and then you just got to deliver the backpack to the agency, and you're done with that leak. Now for the next one, we have the high society leak. The first one is the country club. Once you head over to the location, I do recommend just walking straight through the security cameras. You really don't have to take them out because there's only 4 guards inside anyway, so you could just kill them with your assault shotgun or whatever. From there, of course, you just have to hack one of the security terminals. It's really up to you on which one you choose. They're all pretty much the same anyways. And then once you hack it, it has you go to another location on your map, which is usually near like the middle of Los Santos, and you have to find one of the limos, or the limo in the area. So this is where I recommend using a helicopter, or, you know, end up using, you know, MK2. Usually the limo is going to be in the parking lot. I think it does have different spawn locations. In my case, it was like near the clothing store, so just know that's one of the locations at least. So overall, again, having a fly vehicle is going to make this a lot more easier. Once you find the limo, you just got to tail it to the location, which is going to be one of the mansions in, you know, kind of the upper part of Los Santos. And from there, you just got to take a picture of the gate, and then you go back over to the agency. So it's really simple. There's 4 enemies you got to take out, and then overall just really just one of those stakeout missions, which kind of, you know, do get boring, but it is what it is. The next prep has you going to one of the houses in Vinewood Hills. All you gotta do basically is just kill a few people and head to the back, which is where the lawyer is going to be. And don't kill them immediately, actually use a stun gun. And then after that, it's basically just have a cutscene where you carry the lawyer over to the car and you drive the car over to the agency. Now for the final part of the high society leak itself, you have to head over to that mansion. From there, you obviously could just kind of wait around like it's kind of telling you to do, but what I usually do is just blow up everything. So try to get to like a good cover position, try to get like, you know, a place that's a little bit more higher, no enemies are really going to be near you, so kind of like in a far back sort of position. And from there, you just got to blow up everything, you know, use a rocket launcher, grenade launchers, take out all the enemies. This is definitely a prep. I recommend having armor as well as snacks with you, because there's just a bunch of enemies that's just going to keep spawning in. And it's kind of just like a bit of a just shootout, just continues and continues for probably like, you know, a few minutes maybe, and then eventually the next scene will show where it tells you to detonate and destroy the party, and you just pretty much continuously doing the same thing. From there, eventually after maybe like 2 or 3 minutes, it's going to finally tell you about the billionaire's helicopter. And at this point, a few enemy helicopters may spawn in as well, so I recommend using a minigun or even a rocket launcher as well to take them out. And after that, this is where you start following the billionaire's helicopters. So from there, you can just use a car and follow them. The whole time, I do recommend just using a submachine gun or something like that to end up shooting the helicopter out of the sky. You can even exit your car if you want to and start shooting like explosive bullets, a rocket launcher, a minigun, or even an AR if you want to. Pretty much just anything that you can use to destroy the billionaire's helicopter within, like, you know, the few minutes that you have. Overall, once you end up destroying a billionaire's helicopter, just drive down, it's going to end up crashing like on near the beach side, and then you can steal the phone and you could just go back to the agency and you're actually done. If it takes too long though, the helicopter will eventually land on a yacht, and I recommend using one of the planes that spawns, you know, around the beach, or even using one of the jet skis that also spawn around the area as well. From there, you have to head over to the yacht, take out a few people, and then you end up pretty much doing the same thing, just killing the billionaire, taking the phone. And from there is a helicopter on the yacht, so you could just use that to get over to the agency. So it's really up to you which one you want to do, or if you just take too long, eventually you kind of have to do the second option. So just keep that in mind. But I recommend trying your best for the first option because it saves a little bit of time instead of having to go all the way out to the yacht, taking out people. It's just more, you know, simpler. Once you end up taking out the helicopter, you're pretty much already done with the prep. So after taking that phone to the agency, it's now time for the final prep, which is the South Central leak. So the first one is Davis. You go over to meet up with Vernon, you enter a car with him, and you have to drive over to a specific location, which in my case usually is La Mesa. I don't know if Rockstar's different places. After that, you have to enter up a deal, so basically just gonna be shooting up a drug deal, and then you have to steal one of the vehicles that have meth in it. It's gonna obviously be on your map. It's kind of like an MC steal mission a little bit if you think about it. So Rockstar kind of just, you know, kind of took inspiration from that a little bit. So once you end up stealing the vehicle, you have to end up losing the lost MC and most likely the cops as well. The best ways to do this probably is to just either keep driving away or just, you know, kind of go to a location that's kind of like, you know, quiet or subtle, and then eventually go end up losing them. Or if you want to, you can go near the casino and go to that tunnel that everybody knows about, and you can end up losing them. And from there, you just go over to the drop off, which is usually near one of the agencies. The next prep is pretty much just like the last one. It has you meeting up with Vernon again, and you go over to a location and it becomes another shootout. It's basically just a gang shootout at this point. This one's known as the Ballas, and you just got to keep shooting until eventually Rockstar just prompts you to follow Vernon, and it becomes like a bit of a detective thing where you're following the little tracks to see you know, the blood, and then eventually you end up finding the person, which is going to be in the garage over here. And then you don't have to do anything until it tells you to leave the area, and you're done with that part. And then for the final part, or the official part of the South Central leak, it has you meeting up near the mall, and from there you just gotta follow two of the vehicles down the block, and then it becomes again another shootout. So for this one, I do recommend taking a lot of cover. Even though there's not a crazy amount of enemies, there are just kind of coming from all different directions. So I recommend hiding behind one of the cars, and so eventually, you know, move up. You can also use a rocket launcher as well. Now if you do end up using any explosives, make sure to watch out, because one of the vehicles that are there, you do have to end up stealing it. So just make sure that you don't blow up everything. But if there is a case where you see that you can, you know, blow up, you know, maybe a few enemies or whatever, then go for that. But again, just watch out, because you don't want to destroy that lowrider. So eventually, once you take out a few of the enemies, you have to follow the guy that's in the lowrider. And I recommend just using, you know, submachine gun or AP pistol or whatever. Even if you're on foot as well, you could just take him out, simple headshot. Again, don't destroy the vehicle at all or even that much. And once you take him out, you can just drive the lowrider over to the agency, and you're done with that. So once you're done with all the leaks, you have the sort of pre-finale, which is studio time, which you have to go to Record A Studios. Once you get there, there's going to be a few hired gunmen outside pretty much attacking the studio. I recommend taking cover behind one of the buildings or even your car, because a lot of enemies do end up spawning in. So just take them out with rocket launchers if they're coming in vehicles, or if you want to use that as well. You know, AR, whatever. Again, I recommend doing this probably with friends. It does help out a little bit, it makes it a bit more quicker, but it's up to you really. Of course, this whole contract can be done solo if you want to, so just keep that in mind. So once you take them all out though, you can head inside of the Record A Studios, and again, more enemies will kind of spawn in, usually maybe around like 3 to 4 per, like, I guess, section. So just kind of take your time with it. Don't really rush through it, because again, a lot do just like kind of coming out of nowhere, or just end up or hiding behind something in the studio. And depending on which mode that you're on, you do have team live. So if you end up dying just on, you have, you know, multiple chances. So just keep that in mind. Now once you end up take out the enemies, you have to go to the control room, and from there you're just pretty much gonna have like a little concert or, you know, cutscene as well. If it's your first time watching it, I do recommend watching the full way through, because it's actually really interesting. It's fun, it's kind of cool. But if you're watching this obviously after playing the contract DLC or finale multiple times, then you're kind of already tired of this. So at this point, you might end up doing something else, so it's up to you. So once you're done with that studio time, then that's already the end of the prep, and now it's time for the actual full finale of the contract DLC. So the final finale is of course called Don't F with Dre. So this is going to be started in your agency, and once you head over to the location on your map, which is going to be near the casino a bit more near like the train yard, and you just end up hiding in one of the train cars, and there's going to be a few enemies that spawn in. Some of them are on the roof, some of them on the ground, some of them in vehicles. Again, you kind of already get how this is going. This is pretty much the same thing like with every prep in this contract. Honestly, for this one though, there's actually really not that much, and then you can spawn in the vehicle if you want to, or if you want to, you could just use the vehicle that you used to get there. You head over down to LSIA, which is the airport, which isn't that far of a drive, and there's no enemies chasing, so it's not that bad. You head down over to the hangar, which doesn't have that many enemies, but there are a few of them that you have to, kind of get. And then once you get to the main part of the hangar, this is where I recommend taking your time and taking cover, because a lot of enemies do end up spawning in. So if you kind of rush through this, you're going to end up dying. So have armor on, have your snacks, of course. There's a lot of crates as well as vehicles and other things around the hangar that you can take cover from. So if you end up using those, it's going to help you out a lot. And from a distance, I recommend just killing Johnny Guns instead of going up to him and then killing him, because you can end up getting killed by him. So if you're like from a distance that you could see him shooting with your AR or even the sniper, take him out and then end up going up the steps. And then, you proceed with the cutscene, you grab him and then you take him outside. From there, pretty much another cutscene kind of goes on with him and Dr. Dre. And after that, you just gotta drive Dr. Dre over to the country club and you're done with the contract finale. So again, really simple, nothing too crazy. There's no like, secret things that you gotta, focus on. Really, it's straightforward. It's there. It's obviously going to take a little bit more longer if you're not really used to it, but I recommend, again, for when it comes to all these preps, if you're doing this for the first time, to take your time. There's no need to really rush, because if you do end up rushing, you're just going to end up dying. Even though for some of the preps, you can obviously have limited lives. For the final parts of the preps, as well as the finales itself, Rockstar does have limited team lives, so if you just keep end up dying, you're gonna have to restart from certain checkpoints. So again, just don't rush with it, especially if it's your first time. When you're used to it though, it's gonna be a lot more easier. You're just gonna get it done quickly. So overall, regardless of the bonus on it or not, it's a really great way to make money, and it's actually something that's kind of fun to do, especially with friends. It's not something that you have to do every day, and it's kind of a change compared to mainly doing Kyle, or if you're doing salvage yard stuff. It's just an add-on. It does take a little bit of time because there's a lot of preps as well as leaks that you have to go through, but overall, once you do them a lot more, you get used to them quicker, and it just kind of becomes fun in a way sometimes, since it's not that difficult. There's not a lot of things that you got to do for it. It's just really go there, kill people, leave. So overall, I think Rockstar did pretty good with this, and I do still enjoy the contract story to this day, and I'm glad that there's a great payout on it. Now, if you guys need any more help or have any questions, let me know in the comment section down below. I'll try my best to help you out. And of course, if you want to see more, subscribe and put on post notifications. Also, don't forget to drop a like, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.